I wanted to take the opportunity to give you a demonstration of what I mean by your assignment. Your assignment is to write 2 paragraphs reflecting on your viewing process and how it compared to the reading process that you recorded after the first session. Then, how do your thoughts compare to your thoughts while reading? So, what I'm going to do is use a plot diagram. And I also have these materials within the session, but I wanted to give you a quick demonstration. What we're going to do is focus on the aspects that connect to the background information from the first session. So in your first session, you had a scavenger hunt, Edgar Allan Poe scavenger hunt. And one of the questions that it asked was, um, what happened to Poe in regard to his first love? And say, for example, you put that the young woman that he was with, she cheated on him. And another question it asked was, now that you know about major events that happened in Poe's life, what do you expect his writings to be like? And some of you might have said very sad. Some of you might have said, well, he was lonely, because one of the other questions that it asked was about when Edgar Allan Poe died and how did he die and where was he buried. And those aspects really stand out when you connect the background information to his writings. So looking at the background information about him and looking at reading the poem, The Raven, will help you with this particular assignment. So I'm going to read the beginning. While I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more. So in the beginning, what I notice is there's somebody that is tapping. The the character within the poem is saying that he hears something. And it seems that all of that tapping that's going on, maybe it's bothering him. This is what we notice while reading. This plot diagram I'm focusing on is for the reading. Ah, um, distinctively, distinctly, I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had tried to borrow from my book's secretes of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. And on this one, it's an actual picture depicting Lenore. So to me, the fact that the author said Lenore twice means something. And if I recall back when when you were getting his background information, the name Lenore actually stands out. So I'm going to keep that in my thought process and keep reading. Nameless forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before. So this tells me that the author is a bit trembling. So that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door." Somebody is at his chamber door. Somebody is there. Who is there? Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more. Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. Sir, I said, or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is, I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping, tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. So the author is taking a nap, and when the author is taking a nap, he's actually trying to figure out what is going on. Why do I hold on one moment? Why do I hear all of this noise going on? And what on earth is it? I'm trying to take a nap, but I can't take a nap because I keep hearing all of this tapping and tapping and tapping at my chamber door. So he gets up. When he gets up, he's like, wait a minute, let me go find out what this noise is. It's scaring me a little bit. So let me figure out what it is. Darkness there and nothing more. So he opens the door and there's nothing there. But he's sure that he's heard something. He can't figure it out. What in the world have I heard? I know I hear something at the door. Deep into the darkness, peering long, I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the darkness gave no token. The silence was unbroken, and the darkness gave no token. Mean, okay, so it's silent, but I have no clue as to what's going on. And the only word there spoken was the whispered word, Lenore. So he's hearing the name Lenore over and over. This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word Lenore, merely this and nothing more. Then into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon I heard again a tapping somewhat louder than before. Surely, I said, surely, said I, surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what the threat is. And this mystery explore, let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore, 'tis the wind and nothing more. So he gets up to try to figure out what it is, and he says, perhaps it's only the wind and nothing more. Open here I flung the shutter with many a flirt and flutter, and there steeped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least absence made he, not an instant stopped he stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, perched and sat and nothing more. So here it is, here's the raven, and he's just sitting there and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, though, I said, art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore, tell me what thy lordly name is on this night's Palunian shore. Sorry about that, my tongue got tied. Quoth the raven, never more. So the raven just says, never more. Much I marveled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no sublunary being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above this chamber door. Bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above this his chamber door, with such name as Nevermore. But the raven sitting lonely on the placid bust spoke only that one word, as if his soul, and that one word he did outpour. Nothing further than he uttered, not a feather then he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave, as he hoped, have flown before, quoth the raven, nevermore. So what we see is going on in the beginning is he hears something tapping at the door. What's tapping at the door? At first he thinks it's nothing. And when he thinks it's nothing, he's like, there has to be something. He's trying to take a nap. And he's constantly hearing this noise. The noise is not unbroken. It just keeps going. So he concludes that it's a raven. He and the raven talks to him. And what does the raven say? Never more. It's interesting that he points out that the raven talks to him, and the ravens keep saying, never more. If I came to you and I said, well, I heard this raven talking to me, and the raven just says nevermore, what would you conclude about me if I tell you that a raven was actually talking to me? I want you to think about that and tell me when we have our discussion, when we join together in our connection class. And I'm going to continue on a little bit more so you can get an overall understanding of what we're doing here. Wondering at the stillness broken, but reply so aptly spoken, doubtless said I, what it utters. Is its only stock in store, caught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster. So when hope he would adjure, stern despair returned instead of the sweet hope he dared adjure. That sad answer never. But the raven still beguiling all my sad soul into smiling. Straight I willed a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this omnious, please forgive me, thinking what this omnious bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and omnious bird of yore meant in croaking, never more. This I said, engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burnt into my bosom's core. This and more I said, divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining, that the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er shall press, never more. We constantly hear this word nevermore, constantly, more and more and more. And then when you look at the illustrations that Ryan Price depicts in this particular book, if you would notice, all of the pictures, they're without color. There are no pictures in this particular book that has color in them. So it gives you the impression that this is pretty mellow, it's pretty sad. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer. All along, he's sitting here and he's wondering. The pictures look pretty spooky. And it's like, what is the author? Is he thinking something crazy is going on? Swung by angels whose faint footfalls tinkled on the tuft floor. Wretched, I cried, thy God hath lent thee. By these angels he hath sent thee respite, and neffet from thy memories of Lenore. Let me quaff this kind fight and forget this lost Lenore. So here, as we continue to see, he's actually trying to forget about Lenore. He wants to just forget her. And the raven quotes and says, nevermore. So as you continue on, you'll read more and more throughout the poem. But what I want you to see is the beginning is he hears something tapping at the door. And when he hears something tapping at the door, it alarms him. When it alarms him, this is the movement that we see that's going on within the poetry. The the author then he tries to go back to sleep. He's trying to take a little nap, but he noticed all of this tapping that's going on. And he finally, I mean, he gets up in one time and he notices, oh, it's nothing but darkness. But he keeps hearing this noise. And when he keeps hearing this noise, he finally concludes that, oh, it's a raven. I hear a raven. And then, to his surprise, a raven talks to him. So not only is the author baffled because he's hearing this noise, but is he really hearing this noise, or does he think he hears this noise? Is he really talking to a raven, or does he think he's talking to a raven? I want you to pay close attention to these aspects and connecting them back to the background information that you concluded when you looked at the bio of Edgar Allan Poe. And that is what's going to help you in connecting to what exactly does this poem mean? What exactly was the author going for? Why did he write this particular poem? What's he sad? What's he thinking about Lenore? Who is Lenore? And so once you do that, it will help you to grasp and understand what I am talking about within this assignment so that you can be more prepared for our connections class. Enjoy. Happy reading.